Hi, it's Gavin from Gsport here, and I just wanted to do this video to basically give people an insight into how sort of bigger projects are handled here in terms of customer communication, updates, and so on. And so I use a software called Trello, which you can see on the screen here, and it's basically a project management software. It covers a lot of bases. People who may be in the IT industry and similar other industries would maybe be familiar with Trello, maybe have used Trello. It can be used for a wide variety of different things. And so I used it for other businesses, and I decided that it would be a very good thing to use for Gsport for bigger projects, stuff that people need updates on, where cars are left in the workshop, and there's quite a bit of work getting done over a period of time. And maybe, of course, there are going to be bills and costs accruing there, so we can have everything updated in this Trello board with a customer login, and it's very, very easy to manage, and everything's up front, so it means there are no surprises at the end. So I'll just jump in here. So this is the Trello screen, and Trello has a lot of different functions. You can go for pro versions and everything else, but generally speaking, for what we use here, we use the free version of Trello. I do use the pro version for another business there, but in this case the free version has enough functionality to do what we need to do. And so first of all, when you drop your car into, I'll take you through like a scenario, and we'll use this board as an example. So when you drop your car into Gsport and work commences on your car, what will happen is I will create a brand new Trello board for your car, and I will send you an invite. So this is an old, this board here that we're looking at on the screen is an old Trello board, and the background image as well, by the way, is just a generic image just taken through, you can upload these through Trello, so it's not the specific car we're looking at, it's just a generic background image. We've had a few different ones. So basically I will create this board, I'll duplicate it off another board, and we'll have pretty much this list on the left. And sorry, just to get the layout of Trello, and this isn't an advertisement for Trello, it's just so everybody knows how the layout works. So you have lists, you have boards, but this whole thing is a board. Then within the board you have lists, and this is a list here which you can drag about. Of course, we have another list here which you can drag about, and within the lists you have cards, and the cards, this is a card that I'm dragging up and down here. So I'll just put that back where it was. And within the cards, again, you have more information as well within the cards. This is a card opened up, and obviously you have a lot of pictures here, a lot more pictures and so on. And we also have activity, so we have a timeline, all that sort of stuff. So everything is there. So that's the general layout of Trello, and of course you have your menu here with different things, bits and bobs, which we'll get into in a minute. So again, when you drop your car into Gsport, you will get sent either an email invite or a WhatsApp invite or text message invite, whatever sort of way we're communicating. I'll send you an invite to the card for your board. So it's a private invite. Nobody else gets the invite. It's a private link, and what you'll see is up here we have members. Now in this case we actually have 4 members. So this first one is Gavin McGee, that's me, and then we have 3 other members. I'm not going to hover over their names too long, but this first one here is the customer, and in this case the customer has actually invited another 2 members to the board. Now he invited the members to the board just so he could show them sort of some updates in the car, various different things, and that's perfectly fine with me. Absolutely no issues, inviting other people to the board. The only thing I would say is that when you do invite other members of the board, they have full access to everything. So albeit it's no issue for some people, but other people like to keep their sort of financial aspect of things more private, and if you do invite other members to the board, they will be able to see your ongoing worksheet, which has some specific details on costs, money owed, balance paid, that sort of thing. So it's just a bit of a disclaimer there to say that they will have access to that. So there's no problem inviting anybody else to the board, but just know that they will have access to everything that is on the board. So we'll jump into, sorry, before we jump into anything, another point to note is that Trello also has both an iPhone and an Android native app. So you can download the Trello app to your mobile device, and you can see everything on the Trello app, everything that's here. This is laid out obviously on a laptop, PC/laptop, but you can see it on your excuse me, sorry, on your mobile device as well, tablets, all that sort of stuff. And the apps are really good actually, they work very, very well. So we'll jump straight into, this is the first thing you'll see. So usually when you jump into a board fresh, this worksheet will be pretty much empty. So not maybe one or two pictures, one or two updates or something will be there because I've started the board. So what you'll do is please read me first. So with simple instructions here again. Okay, you'll see all your updates. From the main board screen, you can click on the menu panel and then click on the Watch button. So the Watch button is an important aspect, and it also notifies you that you can find the current vehicle worksheet containing completed work to date, including balances owed, and of course that images showing ongoing work will appear in the work list, and you can also comment on cards. So a couple of points in there that we'll jump into. The first one is the watch button, which I'll show you in 1 second. So you can watch this board, which means you'll get notifications. The second one is of course the worksheet, where you'll see all your up-to-date sort of ongoing work, balances owed, everything that's there, and it'll all be listed out, itemized, detailed, and I'll show you that as well in a bit more detail. Images showing, we'll look at that again. And the other point is you can comment on cards. So of course, if there's anything that you see that you want to comment on, message, change it, you like it, you don't like it, whatever, of course you can comment on that, pretty much the same way you would do on any sort of, for example, a social media post or something like that. But let's go back to the watch button. So we'll jump over to the show menu. So as soon as you come in here, really what you should do is come over and click on watch. So what you want to go is, what you want to do is go to your menu, go to more, and then come down and find this watch button here, and you just simply you click on watch, and the watch sort of button ticks there, and what that means is that you'll get both email notifications, and if you have the app, you'll get device notifications every time something happens on this board. So every time I upload a picture or a series of pictures, or every time I edit this worksheet, everything, you'll get a notification after a certain amount of time. You'll get a notification saying that something has happened on the board to alert you to a change, and you can jump on, just click on the link, jump on and have a look and see what has happened. And on that point, you can actually, there is, the activity feed here down at the bottom right. So you can actually go to the activity feed and you'll see all the last activity, and it's all dated. Everything is chronologically dated and laid out for you to see exactly what has happened. So that's the watch button. The next section I wanted to look at was, let me see, you can find current vehicle worksheet. Okay, so the worksheet we're going to leave to the end. Image is shown, we'll have a look at shortly, and of course comment and cards. So we'll jump into images. Now I did mention we can invite users. Now this just before we jump into the images, this pre-order parts card, it's basically there for if you have, for example, traditionally the way I'll do it is when a car is left in, if there are a number of sort of large expensive key parts to be ordered, typically I'll get those ordered and paid for upfront. So they're there, they're ready, they're paid for, they're sitting ready to go, and when the car comes in we can get straight to work. And this is where you'll find details of those items will be, you know, that you've already ordered, already paid for before leaving the car in. So it just gives you another bit of detail there to show you, you know, what you have and haven't paid for, and what is and isn't there. It's just another record of what's going on. So we'll jump into these pictures here now. What you'll see is in this worksheet, you'll see different cards. Okay, so each one of these is a card, and within these cards there are a number of images, comments, all that sort of stuff. So what you'll see here is there's 21 attachments within this single card. This is the stripped down card, and there are 21 attachments. So there, in other words, there are 21 pictures in this card of 21 pictures of the stripped down process, let's say. Again, in this card there's 17 images and of engine work, and you can see that it's just a placeholder image you have on the front. Exhaust manifold 8 images, turbo 9, blah blah blah, and you can see, and we go right on down to the end, down to tuning, and there's 4 images in the tuning. So let's just jump into one and we'll see excuse me, what we're sort of talking about. So bear with me, because I did this earlier, and of course the picture's loaded a bit faster now, but I did this earlier and for some reason I thought it was on Windows 95. The pictures were taken literally about 30 seconds each to load. It was absolutely ridiculous. Probably just too much going on in the Wi-Fi in the house here at the minute. So anyway, this is the strip down process. Of course, the oil pan, in this case we had to take the engine out, strip the oil pan off it. We had to replace the oil pump, so that meant the oil pan, the sump had to come off it. There was a major oil leak as well up around the cam area, which we discovered later on the real cause of that. So but anyway, this is just pictures of the strip down process, and absolutely everything was covered in oil in this engine. The oil leak was quite bad down the front of the engine, and it covered everything we could see in oil. This is another picture here, actually taken in through one of the exhaust ports. And this was mid strip down when we took the exhaust manifold off. Again, the car was coming in for single turbo conversion, so the factory twin turbos were coming off. We were putting the single turbo on, but when we took the factory twin turbos off, had a quick inspection down the exhaust ports and seen that this valve, of course this valve, and there were a few others as well, were starting to leak oil through the valve stem oil seals. So of course this was put up as a notification straight away. Contacted the customer, informed them, so and we changed the valve stem oil seals, and that was all done. Again, you see another 17 attachments here, all down, and I'll not click into every one, but you can see generally there's the engine out, sitting on a propped up on a pallet there. This is on a strip down phase. There's the exhaust manifold off. Again, just stripped down, engine bay empty, so on, everything covered in oil, absolutely dripping in oil. That's the factory engine wire and harness. Sorry, we're going in reverse chronological order here, so this is on the strip down before the engine had actually come out. And this was, I have to click into this picture because now this is if it will actually load. It's loading a little bit quicker than the last ones, but this was quite interesting here. So this is one of the Toyota coil packs, the factory VVTi Toyota coil packs in the 2JZ, and these two little mini spade connectors here are what somebody had decided to put on to the coil pack connector. Now, I have to be fair, this was most likely like a temporary fix or something like that, I'm guessing, because these connectors simply get that brittle with the heat and they just crumble in your hand sometimes when you come to take them off. But it just shows you some of the things you find in an engine, and the engine was running perfectly. There were no issues with the engine when it came in, and it just shows you some of the things you find. So this obviously was all done away with later on. Again, picture just taken. As soon as we found it, the picture was taken, sent to the customer via Trello, and it's just kept there for a bit of a record to say, look, this is what we have done. Some more pictures, everything under here, albeit you probably not see it too well in the video, but everything is absolutely drenched in oil. whole underside of the car drenched in oil. So that was the strip down where we pretty much identified a lot of the issues. To be fair, the customer is very aware that there was oil leaking all over this engine, but we just wanted to take some sort of documentation of that so we could see what was going on. Engine work, we'll just click into quickly, don't need to get into too much detail. This is an interesting picture here. This is actually the cam cover oil seals which came out, and these were rock hard, as well as these little breather cross pipes as well. Absolutely rock hard, to the point where they couldn't actually be removed without breaking them into pieces, and they literally just snapped. And these are supposed to be Vuitton rubber. They'd obviously been on there from new, what do you say, they needed changed. So there were quite a few seals and stuff in this engine. Now this turned out to be the main issue for the oil leak, and this is actually the VVTi pulley on the inlet cam, and this is a rubber, or sorry, not a rubber, but a Vuitton O-ring here, and you can see here there's a little piece of it, and I actually had to chip this off with a little scraper, with a gasket scraper. I had to chip this off the surface, clean the surface down, and buy a new O-ring for it. And that was the problem with the oil leak. We had actually replaced the cam seals, which was thought to be the original problem in this engine. Started it up and found that it was still spewing oil everywhere, so we ended up looking a bit further and found this. So yeah, again, this is engine work. So injectors fitted, fuel rail adapter, and so on. This is the front timing cover, still sort of covered in oil. Sorry, there it is, still covered in oil. That's it, clean. Again, we're going in reverse chronological order, so the pictures at the bottom here are at the start, so I'm going backwards. And again, this is the sump and oil pan, all cleaned up before being refitted, before the engine was put back in the car, and so on. So you can see just the amount of detail you can go into just with uploading some pictures, and you can get a really good track of what's going on. Turbo work here, that was actually a little sort of custom oil drain sort of hard pipe kit that we had to make to clear the manifold, because we couldn't find another better solution for it, because everything was too close to the manifold, just in the case of the way this particular manifold was. Again, going right down, and the only other one really I want to show you is this tuning one, again because it's just a little bit more interesting. So this image is a screenshot of one of the data logs that was taken from the ECU during tuning, and this is just to show some of the functions that were set up. So this particular function, of course, will be the knock control. What you can see here in red is the knock action ignition retard, and in blue is the knock level. So pretty much to be, without getting too deep into it, once the knock level rises to a certain point, or once you see a certain knock level, this ignition action retard should kick in and actually retard the ignition to reduce the knock. And of course what you can see is the data log here is, if you watch the blue line here, we see the knock level spikes there, and then immediately following that you can see the ignition retard jumps up a little, so that actually retards the ignition slightly, and then it falls off again, and then here we get another spike of knock retard, and then you can see a bigger spike of ignition retard, another spike of knock, and we can see a bigger spike of ignition retard coming in, and then again it fades away. And of course this all happens over probably milliseconds. Yeah, it is milliseconds there, but that's again just to show that the knock control is actually in there, it's working. There's your screenshot. It's actually activated and it is working. So this of course was corrected, and we went on. Another one, we have a dyno screenshot here. So air fuel ratio trace along here, and of course horsepower and the torque. So 547 horsepower made on this particular run. Boost control, so we have boost duty cycle, so this is overall duty cycle. This isn't commanded off the base table, this is overall like end duty cycle output. but this is the boost duty cycle error correction, so in blue. So what you'll see is, now you can't see RPM here, but the RPM will rise, in this sort of area here. As we're waiting for the turbo to spool, everything goes high, so it's trying to get the turbo to spool faster, faster, faster. And once we get up to target, then you can see now it starts to come into the control range where it's adjusting the target up and down throughout the whole RPM in order to control the boost properly and keep it where it should be. So this is maybe a bit more up and down than what you would want it, but it just shows you that it is actually working and it's doing its job. And the boost, as we'll see in the next image, is actually reasonably steady. So this is the boost level here. You can see about 1.45 bar, and it's held completely solid right across the board there. And of course, again, our lambda target, we're a little richer than target there, but that's completely fine on spool up. And we have tracking the target pretty much all the way along there. So again, that was the very end of the project, and we can show those updates on Trello. So the customer, of course, you as a customer can certainly add cards in here. We've had people who have added things they found, research things they found, like ECU pinouts and stuff that we might not have had. They went and found them and uploaded them to Trello and that sort of thing. So you can upload all those sorts of stuff. You can comment on images, pictures. You can comment on everything. The only thing we ask is that you don't delete anything. You just comment on it. We did look at data log images, customer comments. Of course, you can set due dates as well. So on each one of these cards, if you want something done by a certain date, you can set a due date. Now, whether that's possible is a different story, but due dates can be set, so we can work to certain timelines if possible. And the last thing really I want to show you is in the menu. I think I might have mentioned this earlier on, is this activity log. So what you have is a full chronological history of everything that was done, start to finish. And you can click on view all activity and so on, and you can export some details. You can print things and export them as in certain file formats and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of information, and it's all kept on a timeline of your project. Everything's dated, the whole lot. So you have pretty much everything for the build here. It's much better than using some sort of thing like WhatsApp or anything like that, or messaging service. You have a full documentation, and of course, as I said, you can export it so you can keep it with the vehicle history. You have everything there. We can send this information all to you directly if you need to. So I'll just jump into the worksheet here and we'll have a look. So again, description, please click on the PDF link below to view your current detailed vehicle worksheet. And again, just a bit of a disclaimer, while we aim to update the worksheets on a daily basis, please understand that this isn't always possible. So there can be delays on occasion. So really it is down to me to update worksheets, which I do pretty much on a daily basis, but of course you understand that now and again I don't get it done every single day. So let's just click on this worksheet as an example, and I will, of course you'll see I will sort of censor some of the more sensitive information out with the figures and that sort of thing. So this worksheet is taken straight off our accounting software, which is in this case is Xero, and it's just a PDF which is emailed directly to this board and it appears, so there's no messing about. So it just appears every time it's updated. We email it and it appears directly on this board and you can see it. So this will be essentially kept live, so you can see, first of all, you have your vehicle details here. When we say quote, that's just the function we use in Xero, and it is estimate and that sort of stuff. So you'll see that we have a full sort of detailed list of everything that was done. So, and this again should coincide as you're seeing images of work done. You should then shortly after see a change to the worksheet, describing those images, and hours and details and everything will come at this side. But again, of course, I'm not going to show that because it is an actual real worksheet. And one thing we hear is payment received via PayPal. When you do, if you want to send through part payments, as opposed to waiting to the end to pay in one big lump sum. We can certainly do that, and you should see that reflected on your worksheet as well. And of course, if you don't, then you want to be phoning me up and saying, why haven't you put that, why haven't you added that payment to the worksheet, you know, just to keep me on my toes as well. And we can go right down the bottom, and this is going to be essentially the invoice that you receive, you know, at the very end of the work. You'll have your total here, all your details, everything. This is your typical invoice. It just gets restructured into an invoice, but it's all the same details. And as I say, this is updated live, so it will build and build and build as the project goes on. So it's a really good way to you know, keep communications open, keep everybody on the same page, keep everybody on the same level. The last thing that I want to do is, you know, for example, surprise somebody at the end of a job with a big bill that they weren't expecting and that sort of thing. So you can have, you know, you're kept up to date all the way along, and we can work to certain limits in that. If there's anything specific you want to see on the vehicle, on the car, on the engine, you know, take a picture of this, take a picture of that, whatever it is. Or can you check this for me? Can you check that? Drop us a message, add a comment in here. We should get it. Sorry, I should get it. Of course, there's some custom fabrication work. There's a lot that can be done there. So yeah, there are a lot more functions. This will develop over time, so things will change. But it works fairly well in this respect, and it is fairly good to keep everybody updated. So just wanted to show you that today. Just if anybody's wondering, because I know, you know, one of the things that made me get into this game was I was always nervous about bringing my car into somebody and dropping it off with them, and you know, because you like things done a certain way and so on, and you like to keep updated and everything else. So this is a really good way for us to keep you know, keep tabs on things, keep updated, keep the communication open, and at the end of the day as well, everything is there. It's logged. It's, you know, it's documented well. You can keep this with the car, you know, in various formats. You can print this out, you can transfer it to other software, all sorts of different things. So it's pretty powerful, it's pretty good in that respect. So look, thanks for watching again. I'll try and keep up to date with the videos these days. You know, I haven't done too many videos in a while, but I'm trying to push more. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.